God damn, I like that song. Hey guys, welcome back to another segment, or rather session, of Recessional of the Red Dragons. Last time, Jethead and Trudy actually reunited with Laughing Bull, whom he just revealed that it's Trudy's destiny in order to reunite some celestial bodies, or rather her allies, against the Red Dragons. Although she must hurry because the Red Dragons are actually in the process of taking over the whole galaxy along with Spike, and according to his vision, there was a supernova in which, if Spike's demeanor is not reversed in time, then it would be permanent. Like if the White Dwarfs should merge with one another, meaning Spike with Vicious's influence in him, then he shall remain that way permanently. And the reason why Laughing Bull knows all this is because he once belonged to the Red Dragons. I mean, come on. Him, the Van, the Syndicate, Julia and Spike, who know him very well. It's kind of obvious, actually. Besides, he looks very similar to the Van. So, Trudy is now distraught, and they actually head back to Earth. So, with about 48 hours remaining, actually less than that, the Bebop heads to Earth. So let's get this thing going. Alright, Chapter 5, Exile on Earth. This chapter was a very difficult one to make. I sometimes thought I would never get it done, but this is only one of the toughest chapters to write. I'm desperately hoping to get these out of the way and never leave this fic up in the air again, which I did 5 years ago. Trudy was still upset about Laughing Bull's revelations on how and why he was a former member of the Syndicate, that the war would forever change Spike's persona, and the assurance of being the Wandering Star did little to cheer her up. Nevertheless, she kept looking down on her silvery pendant as it glowed within the light coming from her tablet within her dark bedroom. The Bebop was finally exiting Mars's thin atmosphere and heading to Earth to recruit some allies for the upcoming war, which was over 24 hours away. Fate first thought about Radical Edward and Ein. She kind of missed them and hoped in a way they'd be useful. She then headed inside Trudy's solitary room of shadows and flicked on the switch. Please, Faye. I prefer it dark. She clearly didn't want to see her face distorted with tears along with blotchy eyes and cheeks. Faye walked over to her as Trudy continued to look over her tablet, fingers moving vigorously. I suppose they're the allies Jet keeps talking about. Yeah, they are. I've just contacted them and gave them the news of the war on Mars. They were stunned, mostly the trainers, since they were never able to go into space. Closest they gotten was entering the rainbow cloud. There are actually some exotic creatures that can live in space, such as Mew, her clone Mewtwo, Deoxys, the Pokemon from Mount Moon, a monstrous dragon named Curum, and some others. However, it shouldn't be too much of a problem for the Reploids, but unfortunately I can't reach them. They were a little fascinated, Trudy's friends, as Earthlings weren't always primitive as they were claimed to be, even though some aren't capable of intergalactic travel yet. Their hopes abruptly screeched to a halt while the Bebop shook violently. An alarm inside the massive cockpit went off, and the radar and the dashboard showed an enemy starship firing at them. The ship shook again, and it was later revealed to be a swordfish. Spike! Everyone was shocked, especially Jet. Bloodthirsty assassin spoke to the doomed crew. He was eager to blow them out of the stars. I knew you guys were escaping from Mars. Ah, the Bebop. Too bad it needs to be destroyed. I bet it's no match for my own swordfish. But how about it, Jet? His eyes narrowed and his face wrinkled in a fetish for bloodshed. Spike, you can't be serious. Vicious's blood has truly changed you for the worst. Judy was right all along. Wanted to mention Laughing Bull, but he knew Spike wouldn't hesitate to murder him if he found out. To her surprise, Jet was actually supporting her dreams. I must blow you all into space dust. I will never let you survive and spread the word. Swordfish kept on firing missiles and bullets may have bounced off the walls, but the windows began to shatter. Even a wing was severed from the ship. Spike was indeed desperate to shoot his former friends down. Faye volunteered to fight back using her red tail while Trudy stayed with Jet and the Bebop. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. Swordfish was proven to be too agile since it was a modified mono racer, while also being really strong. With each assault, the Bebop was falling apart. It couldn't sustain the abuse from its missiles and bullets since it was an old worn-down spacecraft and couldn't move as fast as the Zip craft. There were numerous punctures through the walls. Gravity and air were failing, and as Jet was losing his breath, he immediately decided to evacuate the Bebop, while he and Trudy would take the Hammerhead. Spike's ship was building energy from its needle-like shooter from the underside. Then he was attacked by a missile at its side, immediately suspected to be the meddling Red Tail. But right the hell out of nowhere, one other starship appeared, and it shot back the Swordfish again with flawless precision. There was a light-colored emerald space shuttle piloted by Zero with his partner X. Yahoo! Bring it on! Pick on somebody your own processing, you bastard! They got involved in a fierce dogfight. Over the comm controls, Trudy begged them not to destroy Spike. X was beginning to agree that the deadly assailant was once her friend, infected by his dead arch-rival's blood. He was being manipulated by the new leader of the Red Dragons. Coming from recent experience from the Reploids wars, since he lost the General, the Colonel, and Iris for that same reason, Zero reluctantly accepted. No one can destroy him, but we can make him suffer. X! He ordered him to help evacuate the Bebop. Just then the blue bomber dropped down to the Bebop. Who are you? You, X? Yes, I am. We gotta hurry before the Bebop loads. There's not much time. While the Maverick Hunter kept Spike busy, Jet, X, Faye, and Trudy gathered as many important supplies as they could while the Black Dog and the Space Cadet packed the Hammerhead, and she did the same with the Red Tail as soon as it was docked. There was barely enough room and time before the damage was gaining on them. But Spike wasn't quite done yet. He eyed the Bebop and unleashed his bottled-up fury. Zero watched in horror as a powerful neon blue plasma beam was shot out, but the two Zip crafts exited the dying ship in the nick of time. They eventually saw it give in to the damage and explode into space. Their home was destroyed. It looked very glum. The precious Bebop. The home I built. It's gone. Seeing their despair in Zero's expression of deep hatred, Spike also noticed the swordfish endured some critical damage to its outer hull. Zero was quite a formidable opponent in terms of dogfighting. I was surprised that an Earthling of all people would do it. It would seem I would spare your lives, for now. Know this! I will not stop to kill all of you. The war shall begin in 24 hours. I will not be staunched until I can accomplish my master's plan. If you dare to approach Mars's airspace, I will not hesitate. You've been warned about that. Let out a signature pose as he let out a bang, holding up his fingers like a gun. He ignited the boosters and soared off. Jet, Faye, and Trudy had no home. The cadet was able to obtain her tablet amongst other belongings, as did the femme fatale and their leader, who still soaked over the Bebop's demise. X tried to assure him as much as possible as he shared the Hammerhead. So with Zero's shuttle leading the way, they had no choice but to head to Earth. It was just the renovated spacecraft formerly made by NASA, the Hammerhead, and the Red Tail. During their voyage to the hyperspace gate, Zero and X were relating to the bounty hunters little by little. They explained about Trudy's nightmare as a bad omen to what was coming, as well as the fact that Spike is no longer himself due to Vicious's blood inserted by the new leader of the syndicate. The Reploids found it very similar since their friends were also being controlled, then destroyed during an incident not too long ago called the Great Reploids War, which is based on Mega Man X4. Both Zero and X blamed themselves for the tremendous tragedy. In their squadron, the Maverick Hunters have had new management. After the great losses of Double, the General, the Colonel, and Iris, who was the General's sister and the love of Zero's life, Jet and Faye opened up more. X and Zero knew that a similar war is about to take place in Mars, particularly its capital city, Tharsis. They also explained on how the Red Dragons worked. Zero found himself to be very similar to Spike, sharing his predicaments. From confronting the ghosts of his past, to fitting in as something bigger than himself in the Maverick Hunters, and quickly soaring through the ranks, while also sharing his hot-headedness and desire to achieve, and losing his life before his eyes at the hands of a madman. Even he was reawakened after his own corruption from Dr. Wily, then being part of a world in which he thinks is all a never-ending nightmare. The Reploids were outraged that murder was the only way to keep everyone in line, even over Vicious. Unbelievable! Vicious and Master Yakushima were no different than that blasted Sigma. Damn them! X couldn't agree more. It seems we have a lot in common. You have no idea. Finally, the five-some went through Earth's hyperspace gate as soon as Jet entered in the access codes. They soon immersed into the atmosphere and soared over the eastern country, Japan. Trudy immediately contacted Mary, who was generous of their approach. All three ships landed in Saffron City's runway. She was awaiting the 5 heroes and took them toward Pewter City via train. They soon walked through the Viridian Forest en route to her home in Pallet Town. She was greatly fascinated in how far Trudy and her friends have come. I think this was the farthest I got from the rough drafts I made several years ago when I lost that notebook with all my ideas. I remember being at a standstill when I started this chapter, as well as the one following it. I was lucky that my collaborator Pika Ace had helped me however she could. So we finally saw our fellow Maverick Hunters X and Zero, but the Bebop was tragically destroyed, and the heroes had no choice but to head to Earth, the doomed primitive planet that's still being bombarded by deep space debris ring and constant meteor showers. So, luck be with you, bounty hunters. I also believe that Zero's theme from X2 would play as the reinforcement arrived to help out the swordfish. Well, fight off the swordfish. Until then, this is the Ecron Rider signing out. See you later, space cowboys and cowgirls.